Hello, I'm Chris the Contemplative, and this is a trailer for an upcoming broadcast, 1 p.m. Eastern, on contemplative visions and experiences. And this channel is mostly aimed towards the art of contemplation and growing closer to God. But in my shows, I have usually found that the wisdom gained from the art of contemplation and connecting with the living God really applies very much to the daily practical matters of our life, to our psychology, to what makes us happy, and to the things we can do to make this world a better place and make ourselves better people. In my last series, which I will put a pause on for now, Are You Spiritual? I can link it in the description. I talk about how society forms us very poorly in particular matters. We are not formed in a society that teaches classical education, logic, reason, being objective, and we are also extremely malformed if involving Christianity and what many pastors have formed us to be. And of course, on top of that, our institutions haven't done us any favors either. I won't belabor what that's all about because that's already been covered to a great deal on my shows. But now I'm going to switch gears while still applying real life issues to what I'm saying. But I'm going to shift gears towards the personal vision of our Lord through contemplation, as well as how we contribute to our own misery on a personal level. The first episode is something that I want to talk about on the previous show, but I find it more appropriate to talk about here, which is the illusion of control. Within the modern mind, we have been completely addicted to this dopamine rush of collectivism. We see this through the complete addiction to social media. We also see this in an overt attachment to institutions, groups, and people that are not us personally. And what happens is we have a breakdown in our sense of individuality. Now, man is a social creature, but we're seeing an imbalance, the likes of which I've never seen before. We are seeing such weakness of psychology. And I like to posit this question. We clearly have a mental illness problem going on. And I just find it so strange how everyone jumps towards therapy or some sort of pop psych thing to make themselves feel better instead of addressing the lack of good values and good social values, as well as a lack of connection to any sort of spirituality and belief beyond ourselves to the misery of the soul. I'd also like to say it's very unnatural for people to be so caught up in the trends of this world. And one example is what we're seeing with the Ukraine buzz. First of all, I'm not making any sort of big statements on who's right in this war. I think both sides are corrupt, if you want my personal opinion. And I think the nonsense of the media portraying President Zelensky or whatever his name is and the Ukrainian government as these innocent angels is ridiculous. And that just goes to show now that the word comes out about the fact that Ukraine is involved in bio labs, it's been reported. I'll link all of this, including my show in the description. And of course, if you dig around, it's also coming out that the Ukrainian government has been corrupt for a while and there's just so many shady dealings going on, as well as the conflicted regions in eastern Ukraine. It just dawns on me that there is this delusion in people's minds, and they go on the internet and they act like kids. They act like a make believe kid who has a rudimentary understanding of something and acts like an expert. even though they're repeating what they've heard on the news. They haven't done any research. How do I know this? Because they just say what clearly the news said. Like, you can match up what a news anchor says to their opinions. There's no branching out in logical discussion. So that's the first issue. The second issue is the fact that it seems like we only seem to care about what the media tells us to care about. And it's like really bizarre. It seems like there's a new god or something on Earth. I mean, it's just very strange. There's other things going on that are very troubling in the world. I'm not saying that this isn't troubling, but come on, like, do we care about anything? And it's so strange how one news topic will obsess someone's mind for years, like we had with the COVID. And boy, was there a lot of BS coming out about COVID and what was going on there. And then we quickly forget about it, move on to something else. This is extremely dangerous. This is exactly the kind of indoctrination that leads to something like Soviet Russia style communism. But I won't get into that because, again, that's not where I'm going to be aiming. So that's my second contention. The third contention is within the personal view of each person, which has an unchallenged perspective. People get up in the morning, they learn these things, and then on top of that, they don't have the introspection to think and reflect, why am I so interested in this? Is there a valid reason why I'm interested in this? Does this really affect me? And of course, do I have the humility to accept myself being wrong, or am I just here to hear myself talk? And you listen to people and they're talking as if their talking is going to change Vladimir Putin and his Spetsnaz with AK-47s from doing what they want to do. It's such an illusion. Right? It seems like these are just people who have no real purpose. The people that are obsessing right now with Ukraine. And I'm not talking about the media, that's their job to be corrupt and obsessed. I'm talking about people that are buying into it. And I have some questions to ask, right? Like, if a war was coming to your doorstep and you're not in Ukraine, would your little tweets change anything? Would you be ready to defend your family? Would this mainstream media talk be informing you on how to react? Also, would you really know what's going on? You, this peasant person who doesn't have access to unredacted intel files or what the military is doing. I can tell you, even with Cold War technology, you won't know what's going on. With the jamming technology they have and the misinfo they shoot out, there are some brilliant people that know how to mess with the average lay person, armchair intel officer that everyone seems to be pretending to be. And then the last question is, and this applies to these strange prayer requests. I'm all for praying about the situation. It can bubble over into something terrible. There's always a possibility of World War III when Russia's involved. But then you have these people that are like, pray that no one gets hurt. And it's just like this infantile, la la land, Pollyanna way of seeing the world. I'm sorry, in wars, people get hurt. Even innocent people can get accidentally hurt, let alone intentionally hurt. Seems like there's a lot of it, accidental casualties going on in some of these big cities. Missiles miss and they hit people. But the religious side of things aren't being questioned. Like, what's going on in your relationship with God that you would think that you're entitled to a perfect world where no one gets hurt? And at the same time, they schizophrenically say, go Ukraine, kick Russia's butt. So all of this is part of the illusion of control, which will all be shattered one day. The big old EMP bomb hits and our internets go down. We won't feel like such big shots. But I'm using this topic to explain the need for contemplation. Because contemplation and deep prayer with God, for me, has been enlightening the silliness of my own perception about myself and the world. Some things can lead to great change, okay? Don't get me wrong. But we need prudence and wisdom that only God can give us and only a personal relationship with God can give us. Okay, so prayer can change things. Local action that is intelligently put together, a la Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., maybe the trucker convoys, what's going on there, that can lead to great change. Being a good neighbor and steward of your business, leading a life of holiness and great moral example to others that inspires others. There's plenty of ways to serve and change the world. But there's many things that you're just going to have to tap into Ecclesiastes. That you're a little speck, one out of billions of people on some rock in the middle of the solar system, in the middle of a certain galaxy, in the middle of a supercluster. You will die. You could die without making much change. And we need to get back into contact with that because you can already feel the fear coming from these people that act so high and mighty on the internet. Because they can tell that in a war, especially a very strong war that could have nuclear weapons, the little tweets might not end up doing much of anything, and it might not count for anything. So I'm going to unpack this in a personal way. Can we please come down from our little infantile, make believe Burger King crown delusions and come back to our families, to our life goals and visions, to our objective morals, to our sense of self? And then maybe we can make some change and prevent some wars. But let's be real. So that's it for now. I hope to see you there. And please bring your own thoughts. This will be much more spiritual than my previous episodes. So I'll be talking about my personal witness and what I see enlightened within myself in my contemplative journey. Take care and God bless.